In this video, we are going to study the natural resources. It is a NCERT class 9th, chapter 14. So we will be briefly discussing the crux of this chapter. Uh, the resources available on the earth and the energy from the suns are necessary to meet the basic requirements of the life form. So two things are important. One is the energy of the sun and the resources available on earth for the which is the basic requirement for the life forms on earth. uh, let's talk about the air, and it is a mixture of many gases like nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and water vapor, and many more gases which are in less concentration. In fact, carbon dioxide constitute about 95 to 97% of the atmosphere of the Venus mass, but in Earth atmosphere it is only 0.03%. So eukaryotic cells, we have discussed already, those cells which have cell organelles, and their organelles are membrane bounded, and these are eukaryotic cells. And many prokaryotic cells need oxygen to break down glucose molecule and get energy from their activities. The result is an production of the carbon dioxide. So cells, both eukaryotic and prokaryotic, need oxygen for the products for the breaking down of the glucose to get energy, and this process in results in the production of the carbon dioxide. Despite this, the percentage of a carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, so most of the eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell do, and even despite this, the percentage of the carbon dioxide in our atmosphere is a mere fraction of the percentage. Why? There are two reasons for it. One, first, the green plant converts the carbon dioxide into glucose in the presence of sunlight. So the plants are absorbing carbon dioxide. And second is, many marine animals use carbonate, which is CO3, dissolved in a seawater to make their cells. So these carbon is being used here, carbon, and CO2 is being used for marine animals to make their cells. And second thing is, the photosynthesis occurs and CO2 is used. So these overall CO2 is consumed by these other things. We know that the air is a bad conductor of a heat. The atmosphere prevents a sudden increase in the temperature during day and night. Atmosphere on Earth controls a temperature. It regulates temperature. It does not make the temperature rise too high or fall too low. And in some bodies like moon and other bodies, there is no atmosphere, so the temperature ranges from minus 90 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius. As when during the day there is a sun, uh, the surface of the moon heated and its temperature become 110 degrees Celsius. And there is, at night there is no sunlight, all the heat energy escapes into the surface of the moon, and the moon again cools down about 190 degree Celsius. In case of Earth, due to the atmosphere, only a certain part of heat comes in and only the certain part of the heat goes in. The overall temperature of the Earth remains in a good range, and this is very important uh, for the survival and of the animals, and life forms, survival of the life forms. And about the winds, and the atmosphere can be heated below from the below by the radiation that is reflected back and radiated by the land or the water bodies. One being heated, convection currents are set up in the air. Land gets heated faster than the water, and air over the land would also be heated faster than the air over the water. Uh, this is a land. Suppose these are the trees, and this is the water. So during day, the land when sunlight is there, the it heated faster, and this sea area heated slow. What happens in the area where it is, where it heats faster? They like air get energy, and the particles get energy, and the high heated, what it does is, then uh, the air above the land get heated faster and start rising. So it heated faster and start rising upwards. As this the air rises, the region of the low pressure is created, and the air over the sea moves in, uh, air over the sea moves into the area of low pressure. So it heated, and it creates low, it goes up, air goes up, heated air goes up, and this below region creates, becomes a low pressure region. And as the sea does not heat it, it's as compared to the land, so it's comparatively remains like uh, high pressure high pressure area. So the air always travel from the high pressure area to low pressure area. So during the day, uh, the the air travels from there is high pressure, low high pressure zone to low pressure. So this is how the wind travels during the day from the sea to the land, because of this uneven heating and creating a land, a low pressure area in day. The movement of the air from the region to the another creates wind. During a day, direction of the wind would be sea to land. At night, both the land and water gets cool, start to cool. Since the water cools down slower than the land, the air above the water would be warmer than the air above the land. So diverse atmospheric phenomena are caused by the uneven heating. So this is uneven heating what is creating in the day. The direction of the wind is from sea to land, and at night, when there is no sun, both start cool down, and this comparatively start cooling down slowly. So the net movement of the winds is from land to sea. So reverse thing happens at night. This condensation of the water is facilitated if some particles could act as a nucleus, and these drops to form around. So how does the rain occur? Rain occur due to there are some particles, dust particles, around which the water molecule attaches, and they become a large, and after due to gravity they fall down. So uh, dust particle forms nucleus in the drop of water. About the air pollution, we keep hearing of the increasing levels of oxides of nitrogen and sulfur. The fossil fuels like coal and petroleum contains a small amount of nitrogen and sulfur, and when these fuels are burned, nitrogen and sulfur too are burnt, and this produces a different oxides of nitrogen and sulfur. So burning of fossil fuels, coal and petroleum produces oxides of nitrogen and nitrogen and sulfur, and these are very dangerous for like our our environment, because when we inhale them, these are dangerous gases, and regular breathing of them, when we regularly inhale them, increases incidence of allergy, cancer, and heart diseases. So this thing causes nitrogen and sulfur oxides causes air pollution. All the cellular process takes place in the water medium. About the water pollution is like, uh, what is basically water pollution is the term water pollution to cover the addition of undesirable substance in a water bodies, and these substance can be fertilizers and pesticides, and it is undesirable substance which ultimately cause harm to the environment or the human beings and other animals, including the marine animals. And removal of undesirable substance from the water, to remove the undesirable substance from the water, dissolved oxygen is used by the animals. Let's learn about the how does the soil forms. Over the long period of time, thousands and millions uh, years, the rock near the surface of the earth are broken down by the various physical and chemical and some biological process. These ends, the end product of this breaking down of the fine particle is the soil. Soil over the time, when the rocks over the time period of thousands of millions of years ago, are being gone through the various physical, chemical, and biological changes, and during this the rock break down, and the results after thousands of millions of years comes to the formation of the soil. So why it is this is because for falling regions, the one region is uneven heating of the sun heat up the rock during the day so that they expand, and at night these rocks cool down and contract. Since the all part of the rock do not expand and contract at the same rate, this result in the formation of the crack, and ultimately the huge crack break into the smaller pieces. So due to the uneven heating, the cracks are developed on the rocks, and they they ultimately break the rocks into smaller pieces. So second thing is water. Water helps in the formation of the soil in two ways. One way could get one water could get into the cracks in the rocks formed due to the uneven heating of the sun. If the water uh, if the water later freezes, it would cause the crack to widen. Do you think why it is so? uh, Second thing is flowing water wears away even hard rocks over the long period of time. Following the flowing water often carries a big and small rocks downstream. These rocks rub against each other and results into the abrasion causes the rock to wear down into the smaller and smaller particles. So by two ways the water is like helping the rocks to become a soil. One is like when water goes in the cracks, and if it freezes, the volume of the water becomes large when it is in a solid state, so it widens the crack. And second reason is the flowing water also washes the top layer of the rocks, and these also washes out the small particles over the time due to friction and all other like collision. These rock particles also get smaller into smaller and ultimately forms soil. Wind also take part in formation of soil, in the process similar in which the water rubs against the rocks and wears down. The strong winds also erodes the rock down, and wind also carries sand from one place to another place. And about the living organism, these are the physical and chemical uh, processes, and also sometimes a biological process also converts a rock into soil. And the major things comes in the lichens. These lichen-like organisms, while growing, they release a certain substance that causes rock surface to powder down and form a thin layer of soil. And the small plants like mojos are able to grow on the surface now, and they causes a rock to break up further. So these this by this example, like lichens and other m- simpler species, they also helps in converting the rocks into soil. As you have seen, the soil is a mixture. It contains the small particles of rock and also contains a bit decayed living organism, which is called humus. Humus is a decayed living organism in it. The quality of a soil is decided by the amount of humus and the microscopic organism found in it. And the mineral nutrient that are found in a particular soil depends on the rock it was formed from. So the soils and minerals depends on the type of mineral present in soil depends on from which type of rock the soils is formed. And the top layer of a soil that contains humus, this is a top layer which contains humus. And the quality of a top soil is an important factor that decide the biodiversity of that area. So that quality of the topsoil decides the number of species and diversity, and what kind of animal can inhabit that area. It decided by the soil quantity quality. Also, roots do one more thing. Roots of the plant have an important role in preventing soil erosion. And here is a illustration. The sand will fall down through the water, as we discussed in above, just above. Water takes a small particles of the rock and soil together. And in case of plantation, the roots are tightly, roots holds the soil and avoids the soil erosion. What are biochemical cycles? The constant interaction between the biotic and abiotic component of the biosphere makes it dynamic, but a stable system. These interaction consist of transfer of matter and energy between the different components of the biospheres. So these are the biochemical cycle. We will going to study 3 to 4 biochemical cycles. One is a water cycle. It's easy cycle, like uh, when it rains the water falls down in the pond and it slowly absorbs in the groundwater. Then groundwater ultimately reaches as sea. And during the sea, the sunlight when hits, the evaporation occurs, and the clouds, due to which the clouds forms. When it's cool down, clouds form, and due to the wind direction is this way, the clouds goes this way and it causes rain. And transpiration is also helps to rays, during the day there is a low temperature. There is a high temperature compared to the sea surface here, and due to which the uh, low pressure area forms, and the wind direction is from the land, from the sea to land during the day. So this is a very simple, like water goes from ground to the sea, and evaporation causes water evaporation, and this again condenses when cooled down, and this forms clouds travels this way because of the wind direction, and it against when it's uh, and when they get dust particles as discussed above, and the dust particles forms the nucleus and forms the water droplets, and again by and again due to the gravity it falls down, and this process continues. This is water cycle. About a nitrogen cycle, an atmosphere has earth atmosphere has 98 78% nitrogen, and nitrogen is also essential element in DNA and RNA. However, other than a few forms of bacteria, life forms do not able to convert the comparatively inert nitrogen molecules into form like nitrates and nitrites. So only the bacteria is evolved in a way that they are able to convert the nitrogen into nitrates and nitrites, and other forms, life forms cannot. And most commonly the nitrogen fixing bacteria are found in the roots of the legumes, generally a plant which gives us pulses. So during lightning, high temperature and pressure creates in the air converts nitrogen into oxides of the nitrogen. So during lightning, so like nitrogen get forms bonds with the oxygen and forms oxides of nitrogen. Suppose this reaction goes this way: nitrogen first uh, uh, attaches with oxygen and forms nitric oxide. This reaction goes this way too, and again the NO again attaches with one more molecule of the oxygen and forms NO2. This is nitrogenous dioxide. These are the oxides of the nitrogen. So this reaction happens during lightning. So there is a chart how the nitrogen like cycle occurs. There's an atmospheric nitrogen here. So the atmospheric nitrogen is fixed by some bacteria, and they are again taken up by the plants and photoplasm, green plants, and green plants are taken up by the animals, and animals convert, forms the ammonia in it, and ammonia contains in urine, and green plant also through ammonification also forms ammonia, and then ammonia is converts into nitrates, and nitrates from nitrites, and nitrites from nitrates, and these nitrates again taken up by the green plants, and in second case nitrification happens, and it converts into nitrates, and denitrification happens when the oxygen detaches from the nitrogen element, and again the atmospheric nitrogen forms. A different type of bacteria converts nitrates and nitrites into elemental uh, nitrogen. Thus, the nitrogen cycle in nature, in which the nitrogen passes from its element form in the atmosphere to the simple molecule in the soil and water, which gets converted to more complex molecule in the living beings, and back again to the simple nitrogen molecules in the atmosphere. Now discuss about the carbon cycle. The exoskeleton, the endoskeleton and exoskeleton of the various animals are also formed by the carbonate salt. Carbon is incorporated in life forms through the basic process of photosynthesis. Like plants use the carbon uh, in for to perform the photosynthesis. The utilization of the glucose to provide energy to give the living things involved. The utilization of glucose to provide energy to give living things involve the process of respiration, in which the oxygen may or may not be used to convert the glucose back into the carbon dioxide. And the carbon and another process that adds the carbon dioxide to the atmosphere is the process of combustion, where the fuels are burned to provide energy, and various needs like heating, cooling, and transportation and industrial processes uh, for this. So combustion is a second thing. While fuel burns, the carbon dioxide releases. So let's understand this cycle. So first, carbon dioxide is taken up by the plants while photosynthesis, where the plants, what they do, like plants converts the photosynthesis into glucose, converts the carbon dioxide and converts it into glucose. And three cases happens. First, when the plant die, it becomes coal, and coal is a natural fuels which contains carbo carbohydrates. Sorry, not carbohydrate. Uh, Hydrocarbons, and this is made from the this carbon. And in another case, they also form petroleum. Coal and petroleum is formed from the organic decayed uh, plants. And once plants are taken up, eaten up by the animals, and they respires, and during the respiration, the oxygen, CO2 is exhaled. So animals, what the animals do, they take oxygen and they inhale oxygen and they exhale CO2, and animals exhale CO2 and it again goes to atmosphere. And in some animal, carbon is used to form the cells, the exoskeleton and things, which is form of carbonate. So carbonate is used in a different way. It first circulates through the plants, and then animal again is goes to the atmosphere. In case of plant dies, and over the millions of time, it forms the coal. It also forms the petroleum. And in some organisms, their external body, which is a hard cell, is made of carbon element. What is a greenhouse effect? It's very simple. About the oxygen cycle, 21% of the oxygen is there in our atmosphere. Oxygen forms in a oxygen form the atmosphere. The oxygen form in the atmosphere is used up in three processes, namely combustion. Combustion is when the something is, like fire is happening. When there is fire, oxygen is required for the fire. Respiration, when animals respire and they take oxygen and exhale CO2. And in the formation of the oxides of the nitrogen, just discussed below, when lightning occurs, the nitrogens and oxygen combines and they form the nitrogen oxides, NO and NO2. Oxygen is returned to the atmosphere is only one in in only one major process called photosynthesis. So photosynthesis, the carbon dioxide is used and oxygen is released. So oxygen cycle goes like this. Atmospheric oxygen is used in respirations by the animals, and they produce SO2. And the photosynthesis is the process where the oxygen is released. Like respiration requires oxygen and photosynthesis releases carbon dioxide. And during the photosynthesis, the carbon dioxide and water molecule reacts and to form a glucose molecules. And when these glucose molecules are taken up by the animals, and during respiration inside the cell, these glucose molecules breaks down to form energy in the living animals. And this process results in the formation of CO2, and this CO2 again taken up by the photosynthesis, and this the two independent cycles occurs in case of oxygen. It might be interested to you that to learn that some forms of the life, especially bacteria, are poisoned by the elemental oxygen. In fact, even the process of nitrogen fixing by the bacteria does not take place in the presence of oxygen. So for the some life form, especially bacteria, uh, the elemental oxygen is a poisonous. Ozone layer, let's discuss about it. It has a formula is O3 formula, and ozone is a poisonous layer, and it absorbs the harmful radiations. And so that when it absorbs the harmful radiation, it protects us from uh, us protect us and other living organisms. uh, so that there are multiple side effects, multiple effects happens when the harmful radiations, UV rays, reaches on the surface of earth, and it causes multiple DNA changes in the DNA, RNA, and in proteins, and forms cancer. So this harmful radiation is protected, is do not reach to the earth surface, and it is being blocked by the ozone layer. So depletion of ozone layer is not good for the living organism on earth. Like what depletes this layer? CFC, chlorofluorocarbons, and both fluorines and chlorines, which are very stable and do not delay uh, and not degraded by any biological process. These are mostly stables. There is the ozone layer, and they could react with the ozone molecules. This result in a reduction of the ozone layer. Holes in the ozone layer is above Antarctica. So what they do? These are the CFC and fluorines and chlorines. They react with the ozone, and they they forms they do the thickening of the layer of the ozone, ultimately a hole in it. And through holes, the UV ray can directly reach on the earth's surface, and where it causes a damage to the living organisms. And there is a ozone hole in the Antarctica, although it is a healing now, because we have mostly banned the products like which releases these CFC and fluorines and chlorine. So there is a almost end of this chapter. And the what causes the water bodies to cause wind? Uneven heating of the air over the water bodies causes the wind to flow. In day it flows from the sea to land, and at night it flows from land to sea. Rainfall patterns depends on the prevailing wind patterns in an area. Various nutrients are used again and again in a cyclic fashion. We discussed in the carbon cycle and oxygen cycle and nitrogen cycle. What is pollution of air, water, and soil affects the quality of life and harm the biodiversity. We need to conserve our natural resources and use them in a sustainable manner. We will study in geography what is this sustainable manner. Thank you for watching this.